My son and myself decided to come to Hampden on Friday the 13th to do a wee kind of background behind the scenes of the media's approach to Rangers being kicked into the third division. As we turned up, I discovered that there was an Alexa, and I'm saying to myself, what in the name of goodness is this doing here? But they were actually doing a promo for something completely different. It just so happened to fall on that day. There was satellite trucks by the dozen, or it seemed like that. Everybody wanted to get a share of this news story, and it wasn't lacking.
Financial penalties for the entire Scottish League football. Be the level that I'm talking at outside Hampden Park, SFL headquarters. The meeting starts at 11 o'clock. Okay. Probably by the start of the season in a couple of weeks' time, they'll actually be starting in SPL 2, which means that they would only have one season to jump back up.
This reporter actually came up to me at one point and said, what are we doing? Because she noticed that we were concentrating more on them than the actual event. But once I told her what we were doing, she was quite happy.
It's Friday the 13th. I'm at Hampden, as you can see. It's a historic day where we're going to decide.
The microphone we're using here is an AKG CS1000 with a Rycote softy popped on top, and it works really well under these circumstances. The one thing I did note was there were a lot of Sony ENG cameras like PMW 500s, and surprisingly there were P2 cameras as well. Some guys were still using Sony DV Cam tape cameras, which, to be quite honest, are very long in the tooth now, and some were actually using HDV camcorders as well. So, there was a whole range of cameras. I was actually using the Canon XF305, which I think on the whole delivered a very good picture.
So Alex, can you tell me why you're here today?
We're here for the Great Hampden Showdown. Will there be a vote at all?
Just as a wee note for anybody that's doing this sort of thing, we did this off the hoof. We decided to ask Alex Thompson of Channel 4 for an interview, and sometimes the bigger the names, the more happy they are to speak to you. One of our local reporters who I'd actually worked with in the past said no. So, you just never know who's going to speak to you. This is a surefire way of injuring your back for the future. That is why I do not use shoulder mount cameras anymore. The great thing about shooting with the Canon XF305 is the quality of picture. You're talking broadcast. 50 megabits a second 422 straight onto compact flash cards, which actually beats well over 50% of these major sized shoulder mount cameras here, running at either 35 megabits a second, HDV, or even DV cam. For any of you who haven't seen inside one of these wee trucks, they are literally mini studios, and they also have the facility to have either radio or microwave links to the cameras themselves. The very camera itself, this is a PMW 500, one of the latest XD camcorders from Sony. And as you can see, the guy is beaming his pictures back to the satellite truck. And here we go. This is my good friend Andy with the BBC reporter James Cook doing a piece to camera using the live link.
Like a number of other clubs in the Scottish Premier League, that they could be in serious financial trouble with.
Very, very important day for Scottish football. The member clubs of the Scottish Football League have today voted to willingly accept the Rangers Football Club as an associate member of the Scottish Football League. Furthermore, the Scottish Football League's only acceptable position will be to place Rangers FC into the third division of the Iron Brew Scottish Football League from the start of this season, 2012-2013.
I was using an NTG1, which is a short shotgun microphone from Rode, the one with the yellow cable, and it was just placed on the desk. The sound was absolutely fine. All these pictures were shot with the XF305 at 6 dBs. Now, in my opinion, it's slightly noisier than I would prefer it to be at 6 dB, but the old 1/3 inch chipset doesn't help this camera when you start banging the gain up. The rule of thumb in Scottish media is if you're filming with a Panasonic, it's either P2 or DVC Pro. and if you've got a Sony, it's either XD cam or DV cam. So there you go. I hope you liked that wee insight into the coverage of how Rangers were knocked into the 3rd Division.